The dangers of being disconnected and not in line with yourself is a huge, huge thing. And for this topic of this video, if you are super sensitive, then you shouldn't be watching this. But if you're okay with certain sensitive topics, then do as you please. This video, I am going to be talking about mainly women, and I do know that men can be disconnected from themselves as well, but that will be a whole different video to make. So, with that being said, so there are a lot of women out here who are disconnected and who are not in line with themselves. And one of the big examples that I can give, and that's going to be the main observation of this video, is the amount of abortions that women be having. Now, before I get even deeper into that, I will say that I am not for the whole let's ban abortions. I'm not saying that because I feel like abortions should be used for emergencies only, and there are like numerous amounts of emergency examples that I can give, but one of the examples I could give is when women are raped, if you get my drift. I know plenty of women that been through that, including myself, and yeah, I I wouldn't advise for the whole banning of the whole abortions because of those reasons. God forbid she gets pregnant and she's forced to keep the baby. I mean, I did say this is going to be a sensitive topic. I know women that been. I know this one girl. I know of this one girl who was raped in a public pool, and no one knew what was going on because it was so crowded. Everybody was having fun. It just looked like a whole blend of people just having fun, and you wouldn't even be able to tell if anyone was being hurt in that moment because there was a lot of screaming and stuff going on. But they had to shut that public pool down, and it hasn't been open since. I know a cousin of mine who was raped in the project staircase, and she didn't get pregnant, but she wasn't the same ever since. And me myself, that has happened to me, and I was brought to the hospital, and they gave me all kinds of pills, and they did give me a Plan B pill, so therefore that didn't I never got pregnant. So, with that being said, I do understand the emergencies of it when it comes to abortions. But besides that, the problem with what's going on today is the fact that women are having such casual abortions. Casual. Like, I know plenty of women who've had like 4, 6 abortions. It wasn't even didn't even need like an emergency abortion or anything. It was just careless actions, and everyone thinks that it's okay to do like it's nothing. And I know it's not just women making that decision. There be guys that they mess with that convinces them to go get a abortion. Like this situation that happened recently, I know of someone who was pregnant, and I didn't get excited just yet, only because I know what they're about. And she wanted to keep the baby. She really did. But her man kept hounding her and arguing with her. He was so upset. He just kept drinking, and he was just not happy. And he convinced her to get this abortion. And when she got it, she told me afterwards, and I immediately had to like numb myself because I did not like the fact that she did that. And I was telling her to keep the baby. Like, keep the baby. I would even take care of the baby. Just keep the baby. But she ended up doing that anyway. And he's happy now, and she's super miserable. I know another couple where This girl that I know, she was pregnant, and her man was like, I don't think we're ready. I'm not financially ready, whatever, whatever. And she went and got it. But then she got pregnant again, and he was trying to convince her to get an abortion. And this time she was like, no, I'm keeping the baby. And she is due soon. So kudos to her. So it's not just women that just be like, oh, let me just go and get it. There's a good amount of women that actually they be wanting to keep the baby. But the men that they be messing with, they are just like, no, I don't want a baby, go get an abortion. So yes, men can be disconnected too, but that is another video. And it became so normal in this community that it's just like it's nothing nowadays. And the fact that I even have to numb myself to it is a problem. And it's definitely been a program that we need to break out of. And by breaking out of that is by getting reconnected with yourself. Now, the reason why I'm saying reconnect back with yourself is because when you are connected, when you are aligned, you make clearer decisions and you're more aware and conscious of things. So, therefore, you'll be able to make better decisions. And for me, I knew I never wanted to go through that because, first of all, my body is not a graveyard and neither is yours. Your body is not a graveyard. So, therefore, you should not be, popping out dead babies like it's the thing to do. So, with me having a clear mind, and I do feel like I am very connected with myself, I had to first and foremost start off with that, made a decision. This is not what I'm going to do. And if I ever get pregnant, I am going to make sure that everything in my life is good. You can't help it sometimes, like things happen, but if you do certain things, like for me, I learned my body. I made a video about this years ago. I talked about this book, Take a Charge of Your Fertility. And in the book, it teaches you about the woman's body and how, like, 1 week out of the month is a very, very fertile week. And that's when you're ovulating. So you got to figure out which week of that month that you are and just, like, don't have sex for that week. Made a whole video about that like a few years ago. And I am not on birth control. And, I do be having sex and stuff. And I am not pregnant. And I definitely had to learn my body. The second thing that I had to do was make sure that my money is good. Like, I am not going to be getting pregnant. I'm going to try not to get pregnant while being broke. I'm going to make sure that I'm okay. And then again, the guy that you choose to mess with, you got to make sure he has a good head on his shoulders. And you got to make sure he got money too. I mean, I know guys don't like hearing that. All the broke guys, the guys who are disconnected. But you got to make sure you have money too. Like, you can't just be busting nuts broke and not think of what could happen next. And that's another thing. You got to stop living moment to moment. You have to think ahead of what could happen next. So learning your body, making sure your funds is good, making sure you have a good head on your shoulders and the man that you're messing with has a good head on his shoulders, and stop living moment to moment and start planning ahead. Yeah, that's what I said. Here's a big one: having control over your emotions. And that is something that I'm going to say like maybe 95% of women haven't mastered that yet. Maybe it's a little more, maybe it's a little less, but in my experience, a lot of women don't have control over their emotions. And it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to feel it and maybe express it, but a lot of women be taking that to the next level. And when it comes to guys, and not even guys, but just that few percentage that can get women, that women be falling for, it's like when it comes to those guys, it's hard to not think logically, because you just want to, you want to let your fantasies run wild when it comes to this particular guy. And these guys really know how to like sweet talk a woman out of anything. And you really have to have emotional control when it comes to that, and think logically, and don't just, lead with your punani, like how guys, they say how they think with their dicks or whatever. It's the same thing when it comes to that. When it comes to certain guys, it's like all logic goes out the window, and the short game, it's like it's all fun and dandy until shit happens. And hopefully he's feeling you enough to want to stick around. Real shit. And stop messing with these clowns. There are too many clowns in this world though, so I think I'm gonna make a separate video for that, because it's just insane that there are so many of them, and I see them all the time, overly overdosing on things, high on weed, looking like a zombie, and have no goals either. They don't have no goals. So, and these are the type of guys that some girls be messing with, and I can't. I can't. Yeah, I gotta say that for another topic. And I know this is a sensitive topic, like I said in the beginning, but it needs to be talked about more. And the reason why I am making this video is because there are a lot of things going on in this world. There are bigger things going on in this world. And when I look at the culture that I come from, I just see everyone stuck in time. And it's like no one, not that no one is getting anywhere, but there's only a very few that makes it out of this mindset. And I see that a lot of things that this culture, um what their problems are and what they talk about, I'm just like, it I'm like, yo, there's bigger things going on. No one's talking about building communities. There is a select few, maybe it may be a thought, but it's not really manifested like that. People are mainly like high on drugs all the time. They want to talk about beefs that rappers be having. Like, I don't give a fuck about so and so having beef with so and so. There's just too much nonsense going on in that community, and then there's too many like careless, casual abortions, and it's just like there's a lot of things that could be prevented, and we could get further ahead. But it's just we've been so programmed, and I just see this as it's a problem. So that this is why I am making this video, because even though this video, it ain't really gonna do shit, but I just had to talk about it because it is a problem. And for the women that I do know that be going through this, I do put in my 2 cents. I do try to plant seeds in their heads. I am not like, I told you so, I'm not that type of person. You know, I have sympathy, I do understand, and I do understand programming. So, especially the programming of the mind, that, you know, that's the type of programming I'm talking about. So I approach them in a certain way, and hopefully I do see that it's helping with one. I think she's starting to get it. So I don't know. It's it's something.